Welcome to Eden. We are a church created to discover, develop, and deploy kingdom ambassadors. Yes, we are taking over territories for Christ in all spheres of life, and it would be a great privilege to have you partake in all that we do. Here, we practice kingdom, not religion. We raise men and women of significance and global relevance in the various cultural mountains, from family to education, to economy, to media, to government, entertainment, and of course, ministry. We'd like to welcome you into our family because we are certain that there is a place for you. We are small enough to reach you and big enough to contain you. We love and care about you, and we want to walk with you in your process of life. We are here for you. Welcome home. Welcome to Unmasked 2.0. This year, the theme is Unashamed. We welcome you to unburden, to heal, to break free of addictions and mental jails that trauma and past experiences have caused. Our mental health coaches and psychologists are Akin Akinpelu, Olamide Akinpelu, Tunji Babajide, Praise Fowowe, Lara Kudaisi. This is Unmasked 2.0. Welcome.
Desperate for more. I surrender. Drench me now as mercy and grace unfolds. I surrender. I want to know you more. I want to know you more. I surrender. I surrender. I want to know you more. I want to know you more. Like a mighty stone on an ocean tide, like a rushing wind, like a mighty stone, like a rushing wind. Like a mighty storm, still within my soul. Lord, have your way. Lord, have your way in me. Like a rushing wind, Jesus, breathe within. Lord, have your way. Lord, have your way in me. Like a mighty storm, like a mighty storm, still within. Have your way, Jesus, come and be the wind beneath my wings. Jesus, come and be the wind beneath my wings. I wanna fly. Go where you go. Say what you want. Do what you want to do. God, do it through me. I surrender, Lord. Yeah, 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 yeah. Jesus, come and have your way. Lord, come and have your way. Lord, come and have your way. Let all the mighty ocean like a mighty storm. Yes, God, yes, God, yes, God, yes, God. Still within my soul. Lord, have your way. Like a mighty storm. Yes, God, come and be the wind beneath my wings. Come and be the wind beneath my wings. Come and be the wind beneath my wings. Would you come and be the wind beneath my wings? Come and be the wind beneath my wings. I can't deny that I need you, God. I can't deny that I'm nothing. So come and be the something to my nothing. Would you come and be the something to my nothing? I realize that I'm nothing without you, so I say, oh, come and be the something to my nothing, Lord. Come and be the something to my nothing, Lord. Yes, come and be the something to my nothing, 'cause I surrender. Yes, I surrender everything, everything, everything. Oh, come and be the wind beneath my wings. Yes, yes, come and be the wind beneath my wings. Come and be the wind beneath my surrender my will, my hands, my feet, my mind, my Instagram account, my Instagram account. All of me, God, all of me, God, all of me, God, all of me, God. I surrender, I surrender. I wanna know you more. I wanna know you more. I surrender. I surrender. Come and do your will, God. There's an awakening. There's an awakening. There's an awakening. The first step to awakening is to realize that there's a void. The first step to an awakening is to realize that you're missing something. And God is set to awaken and bring a revival to someone's life right now. You know deep within your heart that it's not even about you not praying up, but there's just this void. And God is bringing all of the tools that you need, the will to pray, the will to read your Bible, the will to go forth, the will to go forth and go where He sent you. There's an awakening. There's an awakening. There's an awakening. No, there's an awakening. All you need to do is surrender. All you need to do is surrender. All you need to do is surrender. All you need to do is surrender, 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 surrender. Surrender, surrender, surrender. I surrender. Say it like you mean it. I surrender. Would you say it like you mean it? I wanna know. Say it like you mean it. Say it like you mean it. I surrender. I surrender. I just wanna know you, God. I just wanna know you, God. I wanna know you, God. I wanna know you, God. I surrender. I surrender. I wanna know you more. I wanna know you more.
All right. I want to say welcome to everybody, and I'm pretty sure that you can hear me all across YouTube and all across Zoom. I'm pretty sure that you can hear me at this time. So I want to say welcome to this. So I want to say welcome to Unmasked 2020. It's going to be an amazing time in God's presence, and we are going to be dealing with life issues today, and we're going to be dealing with a lot of things that have to do with our emotions. So I want to say welcome to everybody all across YouTube and all participants, even on Zoom and every other place that you're watching us from. We want to appreciate you. Please let us know where you're watching us from this afternoon so that we can also recognize you and say thank you for being part of us this afternoon. Yeah, so I can see my friend Sako. Thank you for being with us this afternoon. That's via the Zoom channel. So just let us know where you're watching from. If you're watching from Lagos, say, hey, I'm watching from Lagos. If you're watching from outside Lagos, outside Nigeria, let's know where you're watching us from. And we would have a great time in God's presence today. Right? So we're talking about certain things that have to, all right. So thank you, Sako. I appreciate you dearly. Right, so we're dealing with certain things today, and it's some serious issues. Want to talk about some things that we are not proud to talk about, or the things that we probably do not talk about publicly with people, so that it will not look like all of us we are dying in silence. When we look at what is going on in our nation, if we look at what's going on in Nigeria now, you know that it calls for a lot of attention. It calls for a lot of attention. Everything going on in Nigeria here, it has always been some form of bottle up. People have bottled up a lot of things for many years, and now they've been pushed to the wall. And because we've been pushed to the wall, people are now beginning to talk. Remember, we talked about that word, Sorosoke. People are now beginning to talk, to say, no, we need our leaders to be accountable. No, we need our leaders to be able to tell us that we need good leadership. We need our police to be paid well. We need a lot of things to happen for us really well. So and that's pretty important, and that's really, really good. So we've gotten to that point. And even our personal emotions, we know that we need to deal with it. There are some things we've not been speaking about. There are many things we are dying on the inside with, particularly men and women. Men, we know how to choke things. We've learned how to dress up our depression. Many of us have been depressed, and we've learned to dress it up. So an attempt to get a new job is you just trying to depress just trying to dress up your emotion. Or you want to get a new job, you want to get a promotion, you just want to get something else that helps you to be a bit more engaged with the activity. You're trying to dress up your depression. And dressing up your depression is like you trying to get temporary fixes. So for example, if this is a temporary fix for me now, I will pick it up and I will drink it. This is not going to last me for more than how many minutes, how many hours? I will need something else to drink again. I will need something else to do. So that's what happens every time you dress up your emotions. And today I want to see how we can get into the point where we can deal with things from a permanent perspective. And that's why we brought in some different people that would help us out. So online with us today, we're going to have Prince Fowowa. Prince Fowowa is such a great expert on issues like this. So he's just going to blow your mind, right? And it's just going to be a blessing to you. He's a family life strategist and is a president of this family systems engineering. So also, you would find out that we have Lara Kuda. You see, Lara Kuda is a very dear person. Lara at a particular age had gone through about 15 abortions, had gone through, over 10 heartbreaks, and now she helps people to get better. She's going to be talking about how to overcome abuse, which is what she has been through. Right. This is what she has been through for a long time in her life, and she's healed, and she's helping other people to also heal from it. And also, we would be listening to another dear person who would listen to my wife, Olamide Akikpelu. She's a certified family life coach, and she's done so well for herself. She'll be talking to us about how to overcome negative emotions. And my brother, Tunji Babajide, he's also a coach, a therapist. He's going to be talking about how to overcome depression. how not to dress up those depressions and all of that. So all of those things are the things that we are going to be putting up together today. So I need you to be part of it. Get your pen, get your biros, get everything that you will need to make sure you jot down well. Then if you also need to share with your friends or share with family, you can just share the links, or if you're on YouTube, go to the share button and just press share for your friends to check it on Facebook, on Instagram, and every other social media platform. If you're watching on Zoom, you can just send the links to some of your friends. It's just going to be a blessing to you today. So I want to say welcome today to Unmasked 2020 as we discuss. This is what we do yearly. We had it last year. It was a physical event, but we had to make this online. Tomorrow would both be online and on-site, so it's also going to be a blessing to you. And it's just going to be so, so good. So while we are trying to bring in the first speaker for today, I want to talk to us about the principle of emotional intelligence, because everything everybody will be talking about today is also going to come from that point of view or from that standpoint. There is need why we need to be very emotionally intelligent at this time of our lives, even at a national level, at a regional level, then at a personal level. We need to understand what it means. I always share this story over the years, and I think it's also going to be nice I share. There was a woman who got married to a man, and she's been having a good time in her marriage for many years, I think about 16 years. And this is a true life story that somebody had to share with me while I was taking emotional intelligence in a corporate training, and for the first time in her life, she had a fight with her husband. She never saw that coming. If people ever told her that this would happen between the two of them, she was just going to fight that thought pattern to say, no, my husband is smooth. When people say somebody is smooth, he talks smooth, he behaves smooth, he walks, he's just smooth, he's a good guy, he's a nice guy. He's a sweet guy. Then one day this smooth guy turned out to be a rough guy, and she just couldn't get it. This guy beat her up early in the morning, and the best thing she could do for herself is to get a bag from the table, picked up the car key, and she headed right on the road. And she was so tormented in her emotions. She was just not sure of what was going on again, and she began to drive off. When she got on the road, in Lagos here, the whole road is always blocked in the morning going to work. So she saw that the road was blocked, and that really got her a bit annoyed. Then she saw a free road. As she saw a free road, she was just wondering why other people are not passing through the free road. So here is this woman, got on the road, and started driving on the free road. And if you stay in Lagos, you know that a free road is just what we call the BRT lane here. It's a place for official government buses to pass. So now she wasn't thinking. Then she found herself on top of that road. As she was going, she was still thinking about what happened to her at home and why things did not work out so well for her. Ladies and gentlemen, she was stopped by the man in uniform, and because, some of our men, they are not waiting to catch you doing something good to give you a thumbs up and say, well, you've done well. And they're just waiting to catch you doing something wrong so that you can be penalized for it. That just shows the world that we are in and all of that. So they did that to her and picked her up to the station. Then it dawned on her that she was driving on the wrong lane. She didn't have her speech put together. She was so incoherent. She couldn't even relate so well but the things that were happening there. Then guess what? They had to book her down, tell her to pay some money. But before they even agreed that they were going to do that, they first impounded the car and they said to her, can we have your driver's license? She went confidently into the car and said, well, if it's license, I'm going to give you my license. So she got into the car only to find out that her wallet was left on the table and her driver's license was at home, which was another penalty for what was going on with her. And that was double trouble for her. And guess what happened? They had to book her down. She had to pay so much money. That was around 10 a.m. Then by 1 p.m., she was released to go. Then she got into the office. The other person who never knew what happened to this woman said to her, "Good morning, ma'am." And this woman looked at this person greeting her, and with her one-ton neck, rolled the eyes and said, "What is good about the morning? Excuse me." And she walked away. If you were that staff, that personal assistant, or that secretary at that point, you would have made some decisions based on how you felt, but it never meant that those decisions were true. So, for example, you can go ahead and tell your friends, "That woman is just so proud. I've been noticing her." Or you go around and say, "Hey, that woman is just so full of herself." "Oh, that woman is the one going through trouble. I won't even greet her again." And you go tell other people and say to them that, "Hey, this is not making sense. That can, and she's not somebody we can talk to," and blah, 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 blah. You can take so many decisions, but guess what? The decisions you take based on how you feel is not enough to explain to you that you are correct. It doesn't mean that you are correct by what you did. In emotional intelligence, there's a statement that we always say, that all actions have an emotional root cause. My own addition to that is, all action and reaction, they all have an emotional root cause. There's nobody that is naturally stupid. There's nobody that's naturally mad. There's nobody that's naturally foolish. I know people always argue that with me to tell me, "Hey, I've met people who are this, who are that." But truthfully, not everybody can be like that. All actions, they have emotional root cause. Now, that PA never knew what happened to this woman and has gone around to say a lot of things about this woman and tarnish her reputation and her image. Then what if the woman calls this PA later and say, "I'm sorry about yesterday. See what happened to me." By the time you are done hearing that issue or what happened to her, you yourself as the personal assistant, you would feel bad. You would have to repent, and you would tell yourself you wish you never went around to go badmouth people or just tell her that, "Hey, this and that." It tells you that sometimes you need to take a chill pill and not sweat small stuff. Sometimes you need to relax. Sometimes you need to chill. Sometimes you need to watch things from different perspective and be sure that what you're about to say is very, very correct, which means that you must understand the place of empathy. The place of empathy. Empathy is very important. It's not the same thing as sympathy. And listen to this well. Empathy is not the same thing as sympathy. If somebody's father dies, and you have to go greet the person. If you want to, what you say is, "I sympathize with you." I sympathize simply means that I didn't lose my father. You lost your dad, but I'm sorry. Then your mouth begins to go rough. I start saying some motivational things that sometimes you just need to keep quiet. Just say, "Don't worry, the Lord give it, the Lord take it. Oh, God that gave you this can give you that." Do you know exactly how weighty those words are? When you begin to tell people that this, and that. No. Sometimes you need to, and that's why I want to talk about empathy. Empathy is so powerful. Empathy is you putting yourself into the shoes of people. Empathy is you getting into their feelings, getting into their emotions, getting into exactly what they are facing. Then it helps you to understand whether what you want to say is going to make a lot of sense, or what you want to say will just require that you just keep quiet or just shut up at that point. Empathy. I think one of my young friends who was on BB, this last Big Brother episode that's on now, that just finished rather. One of them that got, one of the ladies that got out was speaking to me, and she said to me that, "Can you imagine what this person said to me?" And forwarded a particular WhatsApp message to me. And guess what the person wrote to her? The person said, the person has been calling her, she's not been picking. And the person said to her, "I know the reason why you're not picking my call is because you're frustrated. And when you're frustrated, that's why you don't want to talk to anybody." And that really got her. She was like, "This is a lot." So she forwarded it to me and said, "Hey, can you see? And I called the person, I said, you don't talk to people who are going through issues like that. You are trying to communicate something, but I also think that how you say it matters. It is not what you say to people that matters, but it is how you say it. When you say that somebody is frustrated because was sent away from Big Brother Nigeria, I mean, that's why the person is frustrated, is not picking your call. I mean, that's not a nice way to say it. Maybe a better way should have been that, oh, okay, I know that you are quite upset and angry because of what went on, but I know that you really did your best, and I love you for that. You know, we've said the same thing, but in different ways. So how you say what you say, it matters a lot. So emotional intelligence is about how you will understand your own emotions, how you can interpret your own emotions, then how you can help other people. Well, you can discover them, interpret their own emotions, then probably manage the other person's emotion. If you have not been able to deal with yourself, you cannot deal with another person. If your emotions are not strong enough, you can help another person out of their trouble. I mean, so many times you look at your life, look at the relationships, look at the things happening to you, you're always fighting in your relationship with your boyfriend, with your fiancé, with your husband, with your wife, with your bosses, with your colleagues, with even the people that you are higher than, your employees or your employers. There's always this rift, there's always this fight going on. It's because the subject of emotional intelligence is practically missing, and it's something that we must learn and do. There are 5 domains of emotional intelligence. The first one, or let me say 4, is self-awareness. Number 2 is self-management. Then the second part is on the external, which is social awareness, and also what you call social management. Now, some people say it 5, but I've been able to encapsulate it as 4. The first one, social awareness, simply helps you to understand how you feel. Do you know how you feel? Can you color your emotions? Can you deal with it? Can you exactly say this is how you're feeling per time? That thing is very, very important. Very important. I mean, many people don't know. You know, on maybe on social media, we respond with smileys to ourselves, what we call emoticons. Those emoticons, in fact, the real word for that word is emotional icon. There are icons that come to explain or expatiate your feelings at that moment. So what is going on with you, interestingly, is that your emotions is being colored because they have colorations, and you must be able to identify it. You know, I mean, if I want to do an example now, if I say write in any emotion that you know and put a matrix, maybe positive and negative. Many times I've had to do this. People could write faster negative emotions. Maybe they have written 10 negative emotions, then they have 2. They're struggling with the positive emotions. It just tells you where we are, how toxic our environment are, and this nation that we are in. That there's so much negativity walking around us, and we have not been able to get into some positive vibes around us. So there's also self-management, how to manage yourself. If you cannot handle this too well, then you don't have reasons to go into a social perspective, which is social awareness, social management, and social what you call motivation. What that means is that now that you have understood yourself, now you can now understand why this person is thinking the way he's thinking. There's a book that says Why Act the Way You Do by Tim LaHaye. It's just a fantastic book. I read that book in 2006. It's just going to bless you. It will help you understand why your wife is shouting. Why is your wife nagging? Why is your fiancé behaving this way? Not that so you will never listen. You don't have sense. You don't have this. It's lack of emotional intelligence that is making that to happen. So the more you are able to deal with things yourself, the better you will become as a person. Right? So emotional intelligence is so powerful and is so key for us in life, and we must keep to it. So you put yourself into the shoes of the other person. Oh, maybe the reason why she's behaving like this is, oh, many years ago she was raped. Oh, many years ago this happened to her. She was abused. Many years ago she was shut down. Many years, if you can do, and that's why I always say that if you can do it, go and do NLP, neuro linguistic programming. I mean, and it's just so good. It helps you so much. It helps you so much. Nobody's naturally stupid. And I'm saying that nobody's naturally wicked, although people can be sincerely stupid. That's already from a point of awareness that you can be in stupidity sincerely. I mean, people can be foolish sincerely, as it were, but not natural. It's not natural. The environment was able to put that into them, And as I round off on emotional intelligence this afternoon, I want to talk to you about something called emotional bank account. Emotional bank account. And we just cap it up there. Then we receive our first speaker for today. Our first speaker is, the next speaker rather is going to be Lara Kudaisi. And in the next few minutes, she's going to be with us. She's already online and she's just going to blow your mind. Like I said, get your biros, get your jotter, and you should be ready to ask a lot of questions. Right. Good. So, emotional bank account. The banks are operating. Anytime a banker or a marketer comes to you, they want you to open a bank account. So when you have a bank account, that qualifies you to be able to transact with the bank, whether online or offline. On offline, you walk up into the branch, you carry out your transaction, and you're good. The transactions will carry out. You are either going to have what is called a deposit or what is called withdrawal, amongst other complex things you may want to fix yourself with in the, in the bank. Right, those are the things that happen there. Then there's bank reconciliation that happens and all of that and all of that. Now, do you know that every human being you meet in life, you also open a bank account with them? Now, this is not necessarily financial like our banks that we have, but you open what is called a relational or a relationship bank account, or what I could also call an emotional bank account. Are we together? Right. So there is an emotional bank account, and there's also something called a relationship bank account. That everybody that comes in contact with you, you have done something to their emotions. I always say something, that when people call you, or when you call people, and you have to introduce yourself again and again and again, it simply means that it's not that the person hates you. No. It's not that the person does not want to be your friend. It's just that the person is busy. He's met a lot of people in his life. And number three, you have not registered a strong impression in the heart of the person. If you register a strong impression, what happens is that the person is got reasons to pick your calls. If the person misses your call, the person will call you back. Do you know why? Because you are so important in the life of the person. And I share this with you. Many years ago, my friend, my brother Steve Harris, when he was going to work with Faladro Toye. Faladro Toye never had his talks, his speeches in a CD. Or in some soft copy forms, as it were. But he had so much physical presence. Anywhere he was, in the bank, in the public, speaking to people, on schools or organizations. Beautiful. Then he decided to help him to put up that. Do you know that it will be difficult for him to call FD, and FD will not pick his call? If he misses his call, FD will got to call him back. So one of the things you must understand, and I'm saying this because that you must learn how to deposit, and I'm running off now, deposit into people's emotional bank account. The day that your car stops on a third mainland bridge, let's say 11 p.m., and you need somebody to come rescue you, and people will just start giving you stories. Oh, I'm so sorry. The gate of my estate is locked by 9:30, 10. Oh, my car just got spoiled. I don't even know how to get there. Or somebody tells you, oh, you know where I stay. Get it to the third mainland bridge. I mean, no, you just begin to play it. You begin to play. And have you ever needed money so badly? You called somebody and said, please, can you fix me with this 100K or 200K? I need to do this real quick, real fast. And you just expected the person to just go into the phone and make a transfer to you. Hey, well, that happens if you have built an emotional bank account with the person. Oh, you know the stories people will give you. If you called me, yes, it was just yesterday. If you called me yesterday, wow, I would have probably sent you the whole money. Or somebody else will say, oh my God, my money is stuck somewhere. My money is stuck somewhere. If you can, if not that it's urgent, I would have said, give me another 1 or 2 weeks before I get things done. You hear all kinds of stories and they're not willing to bail you out. But do you know there are some people that you will call and you will not need to just try to cajole them. You will not need to try to enforce them. They just want to help you naturally. What has happened there is the principle of what you call deposit and withdrawal. Learn to deposit into people's lives and people's emotional bank account. That is very critical and that's very important. Now listen to this. When you deposit into people's emotional bank account, it goes a long way. That's the only way that when you want to make withdrawal, that your check will not bounce. Many people have had their requests bounced by people. Their checks are bouncing. The favor value is bouncing. And just because you have not learned how to deposit into people's emotional bank account, and that's really critical and that's very important. There are people, I mean, one day somebody walked up to my office when we're at a former facility at Western Avenue, walked up to my office and said, needed counseling. I said, beautiful. So the person came in, sat down, needed to start a business. And we're talking about, okay, how to start a business. And the person said, oh, sir, I need a 1 million naira, and I know you can help me with the 1 million naira. Somebody I've never seen before. That was the joke of the century. And the two things were operating. Is either you are using charm or you just want to use my head. You know? And then 1 million naira. I laughed. I said, can I use the restroom? The person didn't understand. I went to the restroom. I washed my face with water. When I was done washing my face, I looked at the mirror and I asked myself a critical question. Is there any inscription on my head that says that I am a Mungu, a Maga, or Mumu, or anything that starts with M? When I washed my face well, I saw nothing written on my face. I went back to the young lady. I said, excuse me, I can't help you. I mean, the only thing I can do for you is just help you to understand how to run your business. How can I give you 1 million naira? I don't even have it. Got annoyed and went and went away. But excuse me, if my wife tells me that she need 1 million naira, I've got to look for it. If I don't have it, I'll go borrow it. I have to pay. You know why? Because there are people that can call me 2 a.m. and I will leave my comfort zone and say, I need to be there for this person at this hour of his life or her life. You know what is working? What is working is because there is emotional bank account that has been created and the person has so much deposit inside. You know, when the person has so much deposit inside, it means that at any point the person wants to withdraw, I will give to the person to withdraw. And that's really significant and that's really powerful. At any point, I'm going to give it to the person and the person is just going to do it. You know, so when you are not getting favors from people, when people are not showing up for you, when people are not helping you, what is simply happening is that you have not been depositing well. Don't go withdraw. If you have $100 and you go to the bank, you want to collect $500, it will bounce because your deposit is lower than your withdrawal value. So let's learn to add value to ourselves Add value to everybody around you, to your spouses. Don't complain that this person is not dealing with you well or treating you well. You first go deal and deposit so much into the person. I think that the person is going to reciprocate. Then if the person does not reciprocate, then you can dialogue. I mean, there are different phases you go through before you just begin to tell yourself, no, this person is like this, person is like that. I mean, and that's one thing that we must learn from the principle of emotional intelligence. This is going to help you as we talk about abuse today, as we talk about overcoming negative emotions, as we talk about how not to dress up depression and how to heal away from some of these things that we want to talk about today. One day, I'm sure you've heard this story so well. I mean, in a family meeting, there can be a child that will not stand up for another elder. Not because the child is rude, but it's because that uncle has never deposited into the bank account of that person. Guess what? Another uncle can walk into the place and the child is so excited, forgets himself or herself, brings the uncle to the chair and is asking the uncle, do you want some water? Do you want some drink? What would you want me to offer you? And everybody is wondering, why did you do this to the first uncle? And the second uncle, you did not do so well for him. That's not pretty good. So the difference is because, go and find that well. That uncle must have been tipping that niece or that nephew. Remembers the birthday, sent money, did a lot of things. And that is very, very critical. And that is very, very important. I always share my story with Professor Yemio Shibajo. Many years ago, I met him on a flight going to Abia State, but the flight was at Simon Bakwe Airport, which was at Owerri. We dropped into the aircraft, struggled to have a discussion with him. I've never met him in my life. When he was coming down, gave me his card. And that's when I knew that, wow, I sat down by somebody who was very important. As we got down the aircraft, I helped him to carry his briefcase. This was 17 years ago. Helped him to carry his briefcase. As I was coming down, there were a group of people wanting to receive somebody coming down. As I was coming down, they were walking towards me. Two things are happening. Number one, it's either I've stolen something. Or can you adjust the camera up, please? It's either I have stolen something, or number two, they are coming for somebody important. Then I know that I'm not a thief. I've not done anything wrong. So guess what? They came for him. Then I knew that this man was a big man in this city. Then he was even towards an attorney general and all of that. It shocked me. Many years down the line, I would go to his office. I know his birthday. I know the birthday of Sister Dolakwa. I know the birthday of the children. I would go to the office in Ikoyi, say hi, go there. You know, he had a PA. You know, some people don't know how to deal with PAs. They think because they know the boss, then the PA is nothing to them. I respect and honor the PA. And only down the line, only to find out that many years after, he was going to be the vice president of this country. And number two, the PA was going to be a DG of a parastatal or an agency for consumer protection. So what if I treated the PA unwisely? Would I still have that kind of relationship with him? And Professor Yemio Shibaja today, I would have said, and I used to know him, I used to know him, I used to know him. You know, but because I was able to nurture the relationship over the years, it has helped me a lot, a whole lot. And that's why I want us to understand this principle of emotional intelligence and get back. So this is where I'm going to stop. I want to say welcome to Unmasked 2020. It's just going to be a good time. If you are just joining in, welcome to this session, and try to share the links with your friend. It's just going to be a blessing to them. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to say welcome to Unmasked 2020. Please stay tuned as we receive the next speaker who's going to come. We're going to watch a video introduction of the next speaker now. Thank you.
Lara Kudaisi is certified in neuro linguistic programming, anger management, family systems engineering, emotional intelligence, fear mastery, and core behavioral therapy. She is a matchmaking and relationship coach who has carved a niche for herself in the sector by helping people heal from trauma, emotional pain, and dysfunction for a happily ever after. An author to numerous powerful books that have yielded life-changing testimonies and transformations. She also speaks both locally and internationally.
Hello, everyone. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Am I on? I don't know if I'm on. um, okay, I think I'm on. Okay, yes, I can see some response. So, good afternoon. Wow, this is so beautiful. It's an honor, it's a privilege being here again. Thank you so much, Pastor Akin. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for that, powerful, exhortation and message. It's very timely right now. Thank you so much. So, I want to talk about overcoming abuse today. Overcoming abuse, and abuse is paramount in our society. Abuse is paramount especially in Nigeria. I know it's all over the world, but in Nigeria, the way we have been abused is totally different. A lot of us have been through emotional trauma, emotional abuse, verbal abuse, psychological abuse, mental abuse, sexual abuse, and so many abuse. I'm telling you, starting from our parents, and stuff like that. So, but a lot of people are still going through abuse today. Some physical abuse, some emotional abuse, in their marriages, in their relationships, in the relationship between father and mother, or parents and child, or friends or colleagues. And some people, if you've noticed, they find out that they attract people that abuse them all the time. They attract people that abuse them all the time, and they're wondering why. What have I done wrong? Why is this happening to me? Why is it that I left this person, and then who was abusing me met this other person, and then this person is also continuing to abuse me? Is it that that's how all men are, all women are, or all pastors are, or all mentors are, or all friends are, all colleagues, or all bosses are, and they're wondering why. Firstly, I'd like to tell you why you keep attracting people like that. Number one, if you grew up in a house, that abuse is paramount. If you grew up in a house where your parents, your father abuses your mom, or your mom abuses your dad, or the parents abuses the children and stuff like that, it is very likely that you will go through abuse, because the reason is that you have psychologically or subconsciously learned how to live. And you will see people that will treat you right, you won't attract them. In fact, you call them boring. You would find an excuse to chase them away. You find an excuse to, stop being friends with them, or stop dating them, or not even date them, or don't marry them, because you say, because your spirit man or your subconscious is not used to people like that. So usually you would attract what you're familiar with. A lot of people are attracting the familiar. That's why, you're going through what your mom went through, you're going through what your dad went through, you're going through what your uncle went through, because you grew up with them. Because subconsciously you have learned how to live, and living for you is being in abusive relationships, or being in abusive friendships, or situations all over. And what growing up in an abusive home does to you is that it robs you of your self-esteem. It robs you of your self-confidence. You feel you're not enough. You always have to have people that will validate you. So which is why you will attract abusers, because abusers, they come in form of a lot of them, they come in form of, macho personality, they can do this, they can do that, for you. In fact, some of them come in the form of savior. Some of them come in the form of saviors for you. So they come, so when you meet them at first, you're like, oh my God, this person is coming to save me. This person is coming to, they seem to be the greatest in the beginning, because you need that validation. They validate you. So that's why you attract them. So they rob you of your self-confidence, they rob you of your self-esteem. So when you meet them, you just feel you're not enough. You feel you need them. In fact, a lot of abused people don't leave abusive relationships, and people that are their friends, their colleagues, people who love them, are wondering, are you blind? What is wrong with you? Why can't you just leave him? Why can't you just leave her? Why can't you just stop talking to them? But it is not easy that way. I always tell people, don't say snap out of it, get out of it. It's not easy for abused victims to just get out of it. It's not easy, especially if that is what they have always known all their lives. If that is how they grew up, if that is what they have constantly attracted and known and understood to be, life or love or marriage or relationship or, friendship or stuff like that. So what you need to do if you're in an abusive relationship is that you need to get help. Because if you don't get help, you will either die if it's physical abuse, or you will totally lose yourself. Do you know where it gets to, where people, you don't even know who you are anymore? You don't understand who you are. You just believe I'm nothing, and you also have the tendency to pass it down to your children. If you're married and have children, you have the tendency to pass that down to your children, especially, if your parents passed it down to you. So that is why I always say that abusive people, need help. They need to go through a therapist. They need to go see, a healing coach, or, a trauma coach, or anybody that can help them. It's beyond. Yes, you can pray for them, you can ask them to pray, but it's beyond that. You need to get help. You need to get help. The major cause of being in abusive relationships is dysfunctionality. You grew up in a dysfunctional home, you grew up in a dysfunctional setting, you were raised in a dysfunctional setting. Certainly, in fact, 95% of the time, you will repeat the mistakes of your parents if you don't, do something about it. You will repeat the mistakes of your parents if you don't do something about it. I always tell people, if you know the kind of home you come from, maybe your dad, you're not just happy with your parents' situation, you don't repeat that kind of marriage, you don't wish that you have that kind of marriage, then you need to get help. I always say it, that everybody needs therapy. Everybody needs therapy, but but some people have found ways to cope. Some people came from, a okay home, and their parental upbringing is not bad, the environment is not bad, and stuff like that. So they can cope, with learning, with books, with reading books, with mentoring. They can cope. But if you have grown up in an abusive and dysfunctional home, you need to get help. You need to get healing. You need to get help, or else you will repeat the cycle of your parents. You will pass it down to your children, and then people, you will now say there's a generational curse in your family. And then you start going to church and saying let us break every generational curse, from the side of the father. Nigerians, we are very good at that. From the side of the father, from the side of the mother, your mother-in-law side, most of these things are subconscious, they're psychological. If you can get help, you don't need to, be going through this over and over again. Haven't you wondered why a lot of people go to the mountains to pray, they fast, they want to break a curse in their family. Somebody was divorced, a lot of marriages are getting broken in their families. So they think that there must be one tree in their home, in their, what do you call it now? There must be one tree in their village that they need to uproot, that they need to do this, that they need to do that too, and this cycle, but they don't get delivered. The reason, is here. It's here more than, the physical. It's here. It's psychological more than spiritual. That's what a lot of people don't know. A lot of situations are more psychological, than spiritual. So I need you to get help. So another way where you can find yourself in an abusive situation is if you've had a very traumatic event experience. If you've been through a trauma like rape, like abuse, like molestation, like constant talking down at, rape causes people to, it alters the victim's lives. Rape will alter your life. Rape, if you don't get healed, the funniest thing about rape is that it follows you forever. People don't know that. People hardly talk about that. People don't even understand that. It follows you forever because a damage has been done subconsciously. A damage has been done to your subconscious that, except you get healing and therapy for it, it will follow you forever. Let me tell you, there are so many the effects of rape, for instance, PTSD. That's post stress, yes, traumatic disorder. A lot of people have PTSDs. They have panic attacks. They don't even know why. They don't even know where they're coming from. They don't know where it's coming from. It's sometimes effects of rape. A lot of people have anger outbursts. Anger. You're just angry. Before they say something, you have brought out knife. You have screamed. You have left the person. You have shouted. You are that because you are angry. Rape can leave victims to be angry. Rape can also make you lose your self-esteem. Rape can make you feel like, I'm not enough. I don't deserve more than this. So subconsciously, you find yourself, in fact, you carry yourself subconsciously to an abusive situation because you feel dirty, you feel unworthy, you feel like I should just take what they're dishing to me because I've been raped. Your self-confidence is stripped of you. Your identity is distorted. A lot of people have distorted identities, and this was my case for a very long time, because a lot of you know my story. For people who don't know it, my story in a nutshell is that I healed from having a child at 19, 14 heartbreaks, 15 abortions, and a divorce. And so after I had my child at 19, I felt disadvantaged. And one of the reasons that made me feel that way was because my dad, who was so disappointed in me, who loved me so much. I was his first child, or I am his first child. And so he was in pain. He didn't believe or think that his precious little girl would turn out this way. So he would look at me and talk down at me. Nobody would marry you. You are finished. You are this, you are that. Your life is, like, I don't even know how you're going to turn out. So subconsciously, those words begin to, take effect on me. I began to believe those words, and that is what is happening to a lot of people. That is what has happened to a lot of people. Am I still on? Because like my screen has frozen here. Okay. I think I can see myself now. So okay, thank you. Please, I need you to constantly communicate with me so that you can tell me also when my time is up. Thank you. So I believed those words. He will tell me, you're finished, who will marry you, your life is this, your life is that, everything, and I began to feel like, okay, I'm at a disadvantage. That means I'm lesser than every other girl out there who doesn't have a child. So what this did to me was that it robbed me of my self-confidence, and it made me enter every relationship as a disadvantaged person. It made me enter every relationship as a disadvantaged person. So what that means is that, so when a guy is dishing out rubbish to me, I can't complain, or I don't complain, because I feel, he's doing me a favor by being with me. And this is what caused a lot of my, heartbreaks and abortions. So that is what a lot of people are going through right now. They enter every relationship as a disadvantaged person. They enter every relationship thinking, man, I'm not worth it, or this one. Even mentorship and being in a mentee relationship. Let me tell you something. Your mentor, yes, is a great person. He loves you, she loves you, she's doing great, and all of that. It's a privilege for you to be mentored by them. But let me tell you something. If they don't see anything worthy in you, they would not agree to mentor you. They won't. So, I need you to remove that, shaking before my mentor, and because you lose your self-confidence that way. So there are a lot of stories that I've heard of mentors abusing mentees. I have heard so much from churches, from work, from life generally, relationships, friendships. There are a lot of mentors that have emotionally and verbally abused mentees. And this is because the mentees think that, it's a privilege to follow this person, that they would even accept to speak with me, that they would even accept. It's true. You understand? But at the same time, if they don't see that you're bringing something, worthy to the table, they won't agree to mentor you. So it means that you have something in you that they believe in, that they respect, for them to even agree to mentor you in the first place. So a lot of them have even seen that this person, is going to do great. He or she just needs a little guidance or a little help, and they would even be proud in future when you mention their name, that this person helped me and stuff like that. So don't cower. If you begin to shake and cower, that means you have low self-esteem. That means you have low self-confidence. And if it is a bad mentor, if you're encountering a bad person, they will abuse you, and that can scar you forever. That can scar you forever. Abuse can scar you forever. Abuse make you think I am dirty. I am not a human being. I'm a goat. I met a woman who said her husband used to say, "You're a dog. You're a goat." And at first it sounded strange to her, but eventually she started believing it. So even at work, she allows people step over her. She allows people, one thing about abuse is that you yourself, you will put yourself in a situation that you'll be abused, and then you will come back, angry that they are abusing you. You would even be angry that they are not even or that people are not coming to your defense, or they're not helping you. Meanwhile, subconsciously, indirectly, you are the cause of that situation. Let me tell you, if you want to get out of abuse, number one, get help. I've said it. You have to go through therapy. You have to go through coaching. You have to go through it, because somebody needs to lead you by the hand. Because that person, what that coach or mentor or therapist will do to you is that they will help to reinforce your self-confidence. You cannot leave any abusive relationship or any, except you have great self-confidence, except you believe in self and you see yourself as, the best thing that has happened since sliced bread. That's where you need to be. That's where you need to be. But unfortunately, people put their lives, their dignities, their futures into the hands of other people. So they're like, I don't have nowhere else to go. Nobody else would accept me. Who told you that? It's not true. It's not true. Your head is messing with you. Your mind is messing with you. If you know your power, you will be amazed at what you can do. That scripture that says, "Ye are gods and children of the Most High." Ye are gods. You know what that means? It means that you are a god. What does a god do? A god co-creates. A God co-creates with God. A God makes things happen. A God lives a fulfilled life, a fulfilling life. Nobody can be slapping a God. Nobody can be kicking a God. Nobody can be making a mess out of a God. It is unacceptable. It is wrong. You understand? So that is what therapy does to you. It helps you delete all those, terrible mindsets, and then it reinforces your confidence and then gives you a new identity. It makes you aware of who you are, and that's my testimony today. I'm telling you, before I got married, I started sharing my story. God instructed me to share my story. In 2012, I went on Facebook. I started sharing about I didn't have a boyfriend at the time. I started sharing about my 14 heartbreaks, 15 abortions, all the mistakes I've made, and then I'll put morale of the story and stuff and stuff. I just wanted to share because that spirit would not leave me alone. But I didn't know that a ministry was starting. I didn't know that my career was starting. I didn't know that my life was starting. So when a man approached me, he told me at the time that what chases people away, what he said, it was endeared to me because of my courage, because of, like, wow, how can somebody go through all of this, and then still have the courage to be sharing, still have the courage to show up and stuff like that. And so he proposed to me. And I said yes without thinking about it. You know why? Because I was like, oh my God, me, after going through all of this, so somebody can actually marry me. I was not aware of my own power. That's Whitney Houston song that said, I didn't know of my own strength. That was it. So I wasn't aware of my own power. I wasn't aware of my own strength. I wasn't aware of who I am. So even though I saw all the terrible signs, all the red flags from the beginning, I went into that marriage because I was beyond excited that anybody, I mean any man, would, agree or come forward to marry me. That is what, a distorted identity does to you. Meanwhile, I wasn't aware of how much value I could add to a man. I wasn't aware of how blessed I am. I wasn't aware of how powerful I am. I wasn't aware of how, my calling can help to turn people's lives around. I wasn't aware of how, people look up to me, or people see me and be like, oh my God, look at her. I wasn't aware. Inside of me was a mess. Yeah, thank you. And that's what a lot of people are right now. You get. And so, of course, the marriage crashed and I left the marriage, And the funniest thing, this is post my divorce now. And I have 2 kids, from 2 different men. It's something I'm not proud about, but hey, it is my reality. I always talk about, authenticity. And, the self-confidence I have now, the self-esteem I have now is way, way better than when I wasn't even married. That's why I tell single people who come to meet me, like, ladies who are in their 40s, in their late 40s, early 50s, they're beautiful, they have good jobs, they have money, they are doing great in life, but they can't seem to get husbands. And I always tell them that I don't understand it. When somebody says that, like, no man has come to me in 4 years, I always say there's a problem. You know why? Because somebody like me, it shouldn't be me that somebody will now be saying, I have a lot of men that are in my DMs, a lot of good men who want to marry me, that now I have to choose, and say, is this person, let me see, does this person. Ordinarily, before now, I was not aware of that. I was not aware of that. I would have just chosen anybody who came and said, I wanted to marry you. Anybody. Because I was feeling, but now I know who I am. I know that I'm a royal priesthood, a chosen generation, a peculiar person. I'm aware of my power. I'm aware of the great value I can add into a man's life. I'm aware that I have the power of choice. I'm aware that my past does not define me. I'm aware that, I am a resourceful person. I'm aware that I am somebody that people will be jostling, to be in her life. Until you get here, you will continue to be abused. People will continue to abuse you until you get here. You need to get to where you know that Jesus died for me, the blood of Jesus that he shed for me. You're a human being. You're somebody that God, sees a big deal in before he could say, I could die for you and give him, you my blood. You are that person. You understand? So, and you don't get here where I am now. You don't get there easily. You have to delete or unlearn all the terrible things that you have learned. You have to unlearn all the pain. You have to unlearn all the trauma. You have to unlearn all the dysfunction. You have to unlearn all of that, and then now start to relearn new things. You now need to find your identity and understand who you are, and then acquire the self-esteem to live that identity. I was telling somebody recently, one of my friends, we've not spoken in a while. So she was just using style to ask me, you know how people do now, they'll be using style to ask you questions. So Lara, in marriage, blah, blah, blah. So what do you see yourself in 10 years? So the question that she wanted to ask me is that, are you going to get married again? But she didn't know how to ask me that, so she would just use style. And I'm like, oh, sure, very soon, safe. And she was like, oh my God, oh my, I was just laughing. Because she was like, man, I like the way you live your life. I like the way you dictate your life. You don't let people live your life for you. You do this, you do that. And I was just smiling in my heart, because I know that what she's saying is true, but I didn't get here in 1 year. I didn't get here in 2 weeks. It was something I had to consciously and constantly work on. If you're a single woman or even a married woman, if you don't have great self-confidence, if you don't have great self-respect, your husband will walk all over you. In fact, and he will do it without knowing. And you will be angry that, why is he doing that? Your boyfriend will abuse you all over and over again, emotionally, verbally, and you will be angry, like, why is she doing that? Because there's something I always say, that it is in people, humans, to take advantage. It is a human trait to take advantage of people, unknowingly or knowingly. So when you put yourself in a position of being taken advantage of, people will take advantage of you. There's also a quote I saw somewhere, especially I'm talking to women. That quote says that a lot of women complain of men walking all over them, but they don't live the way. A lot of women complain of men walking all over them, but they don't live the way. So you still stay there and be complaining and be crying and be talking and be ranting and be praying. You don't live there. And live there does not mean necessarily leaving the house or leaving the marriage or leaving the relationship. Sometimes living there is understanding who you are and letting subconsciously loving yourself and treating yourself better, because you're the one that shows people how to treat you. The way you treat yourself is the way is a definition or a template for the way other people will treat you. So if you treat yourself like trash, if they say, okay, so use your head and stand, and they know that it is inconvenient for you, you yourself know it is inconvenient, but because, I want to please him, I want to please her, I want to do this, you use your head and stand. You know that the next time, the person will say, just use one hand, stand only on one hand. It is in human traits or human, that people will they will try to take advantage of you. It is human, so sometimes they don't even know it. They don't even know it sometimes. So if they are taking advantage of you and you continue to stay there, you don't do anything about it, they will do it for the rest of your life. And then you will complain, you will be bitter. You now say all men are bad, all women are scum, all men are scum. You are the one that presented yourself, for a scum. Or you were the one that presented yourself for a scum to treat you that way. You don't know that somebody that could be a scum to you could be a good person to somebody else, because that person will not allow herself or himself be treated that way. So guys, get help, get therapy. Make sure you invest in anything that will help to increase your self-confidence too. Then 3 is that you need to understand your identity in Christ. Your identity in Christ, your identity in God, and then your identity as a human being who deserves to love, who deserves to be loved properly, who deserves the good things of life. You deserve to be loved, irrespective of what you've been through, irrespective of what has happened to you, irrespective of what. You're a human being that has dignity, that has value. You understand? So you need to find your identity. Who am I? What are those things I like? Not what my husband says he likes. or I like, or not what my parents say I like or made me like, not what my friends. You have to be able to separate yourself, that my name is Lara Kudaisi and this is my life, this is my identity. What are my value system? I say to people, one of my value system is authenticity. That is why I share my story. It's dirty, it's unpalatable, but it's my reality. So you won't catch me living a fake life. That's my value. So anything or anybody or any situation that will make me go against authenticity, I cannot be there. I won't be there, irrespective. Yeah, thank you, Ruth. So irrespective of what the person is or what person is offering me, anything. So you have to find your values. What are your values? Go online and type values. You'll see different values. Pick your top 5 values. What are your values? So authenticity is my values. Value. Vulnerability is my value. I like to be vulnerable. People see who I am, because my vulnerability helps people come to me. It helps them, become come forward for help. So anything that would, or anybody that would alter that vulnerability cannot come into my life or my space. So your values, determine your life. What are your values? Spirituality. What are your values? Accountability. What are your values? Family. Imagine I'm a very family-oriented person, and then if I meet somebody now that is not a family-oriented person, I will, no matter how much desperate I am to get married, I won't marry that person because it goes against my values. So firstly, you have to define your value system. The reason why people are treating you for anything anyhow, or the reason why you're falling for anything, is because you don't stand for something. It's because you don't know who you are. It's because you don't have your values defined or set. It's because you don't know who you are. Your identity is distorted. People have messed with your identity. Trauma has messed with your identity. Rape has messed with your identity. Abuse has messed. And that's what's happening to Nigeria now, this NSAS thing. The reason why it took us this long to revolt is because our leaders, Nigerians, have traumatized us. So the trauma of no light, the trauma of no money, the trauma of no job, the trauma of strike, the trauma of bad leadership has altered our identity. So we don't think we are worthy as citizens, as young people, as the masses, to demand better governance. But I'm happy. Look at what is happening now. Something is happening. Some people are waking up that, no, I'm a human being. No, I'm a citizen. No, I'm a masses. So I deserve a good country. I deserve light. I deserve to stay alive. I deserve good treatment. I deserve for my, president or people in power to be able to be accountable to me. Before, is it not? Well, you don't know how we used to. Buhari, you can even you say yes, sorry, sir. Yeah, Oshiba, they will call you. Yes, sir. But now they are saying, come and do meeting. You're saying, no, sir. Address us on TV. What has happened? An identity shift has happened. Identity shift has happened. So that's where we need to be. That's where you need to be. If you want to overcome abuse, if you want to stop being in that situation, your identity has to be open. Your identity has to be discovered. Who am I? And your value system, your self-confidence, your self-esteem. But all in all, guys, please get help. That's what's going to help you. Get help. Get a coach. Get a therapist. Get somebody that would help you, so that they can gradually help you to unlearn, all those pain, and trauma and every other thing you have been through. Thank you so much, for having me, Pastor Akin. This is a privilege. This is an honor. I'm so excited that, you're having me again this year. I hope by next year you will call me again, and then, we can come to a gathering where we can see ourselves and be talking to ourselves. You get? So thank you, everybody. I'm so glad to be here. I hope you have learned something. Thank you, Ruth. So I want to, gladly bow out before they chase me away. Thank you so much for having me. Okay.
Right.
Okay, so am I supposed to be answering the questions? I'm seeing some questions here.
Yes, please.
Okay, so can you display I saw a question now that went away. Ruth, can you please type it again? I'm sorry, I'm just trying to get a hang on this Zoom thing. Pastor, I can see that you're a pro. Me, I'm still trying to learn it, and all of yes. If you don't mind asking that question again, so that I can see it here displayed. I couldn't get it. Somebody, Ruth, thank you. I would love for you to do that for me.
Somebody's asking, how can a mentee detect signals of abuse by a mentor?
Okay.
How
So how
can
you
a
detect that?
mentee detect signals of abuse by a mentor? Right.
Yes. Yes, I've seen it. Thank you, Pastor Aki. So how you can detect that, first of all, is by, like I said, defining your own value system. What are your own value system? Who are you? What do you think you would tolerate? You understand? So if, for instance, now you are somebody who, how will I say it now? Maybe you're a woman. You don't wash clothes yourself. You have washing machine at home. You don't even wash clothes for your husband. You use your washing machine. So you know that as a woman, I shouldn't be doing that. I can, since I have a washing machine, I can be doing that, and focus on other things. And then you have a mentee that is telling you to come and be washing clothes for them. You understand? That goes against what you believe in. That goes against your value system. But because we are respectful, in the beginning, you can say, okay, maybe that's what they do, or maybe that's what he or she does in their house. This is just figurative examples, or so insert it, where it is appropriate. So, and then you maybe in the beginning, because we're respectful people in Nigeria, you say, you cannot. I cannot refuse. If Pastor Akin call me and say, Lara, come and wash clothes for me. Within the Pastor Akin, I cannot refuse. Or, that's how we think. So we just say, okay, let me wash it the first time. But for instance, Pastor Akin now makes it a point of duty to say every Saturday, Lara, report in my house to be washing my clothes. Then Pastor Akin is going against my value system. Do you understand what I'm saying? Pastor Akin is infringing on my values. And if I don't bring myself, I need to probably learn to communicate that with him in a very respectful manner. Or I need to learn how to, for instance, if I don't want to disrespect him, maybe as he's giving me the clothes, I'll just call somebody, a bookie or something. Can you help me take care of Pastor Akin's clothes? Do you understand what I'm saying? So if I don't deal with that issue and then I continue to do it for him, and I am in pain, I am not happy, I will now begin to say pastors abuse people, pastors use people, pastors do. So if your mentor has begun to infringe on your own value system and they do it constantly, then they're abusing you and you don't even know it, especially when they know that it is hurting you. You need to let them know, subconsciously or subtle. I say subconsciously, consciously, subtly, or directly, that they are hurting you. So that's what abuse is. If somebody continues to hurt you and they know that you're hurt and they continue to do it, then they're abusing you. So it doesn't matter who they are to you. So I think I've answered that question about how to know if your mentor. Yes, thank you, Sheon Oyetoyinbo. Yeah, so any other question? Oh, I'm done.
Right. There are other questions.
Okay, sir.
Are we together?
Yes,
Can you hear me?
I am
Right.
together
There
with
are
you.
other questions. It says that how do you understand your identity? How do you
Okay.
understand your
First,
identity as a person?
okay. Thank you, Pastor Aki. So how you understand your identity is by doing a self-reflection, going inside of you. I did this exercise when I started going through my heartbreaks, divorce, and I just felt like, who am I? Who really am I? What do I stand for? And what that led me to do is actually finding myself or rediscovering myself. Who am I? So begin on that journey. What do I like? Learn more about yourself. Go on. I always tell people, they say is the era of the motivational coach is perspire to acquire to perspire. Okay, but learn from them. Go for any programs that would help your personal development, like this program now. Invest in personal development. The more you hear people, or the more you even move around people that look like you or believe in things that you believe in, that's how you know yourself. Because it is very difficult to be amongst a lot of people, and people that you don't share the same values with. It will be difficult for you to know who you are. So you need to advance on a journey of self-discovery. You need to learn about values. You need to learn about, like, who am I? Like, what kind of dresses? Those are the things I learned when it comes to my own identity. After all of that, I started learning what kind of clothes do I even like to wear as a human being. I realized that the clothes I love to wear, I could not wear them because of how I grew up, because of the church I attend, because of the people I'm around. So now I have come to understand that this is the kind of color I like, this kind of clothes I like, this is kind of way I like to walk. That's understanding myself. And then now another thing is, one thing is knowing your identity. Another thing is acquiring the self-esteem or self-confidence to live your identity. So I think I hope I've answered that question. I don't want to waste time. So let's go to the next question.
Okay. I'm trying to find out if there is another question there. I'm still trying to check. I think that'll probably be the last one.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's probably the last one there. That was really great. That was really, really, really great. Wow, that's a, thank you so much, Lara, for that. Lara is somebody I love dearly, and I love the things that she's doing for this generation. And please, I want to ask that if you have certain things you need to discuss with her, you need to run therapy sessions, you need her to help you or walk you through certain things, please ensure that you get across to her. You can find her online across all our social media handles, and she has lots of materials that I think that you should get. The materials are so good. On Instagram, you find her Lara Kudaisi International. I mean, just go check her up there. She has lots of materials, lots of videos, lots of audios, lots of books that can help you and bless you. So I want to say a very big thank you to you, Lara, for being with us. Thank you so, so much. I am so grateful for the time that we have shared together, and for the time that the investments you have made into people. Thank you so, so much. And so for those watching us on YouTube and on Zoom, please, there's a link that is going on around now that you just need to click on it, and we get you to come into that group. It's just going to help you. It's going to be our post-event activity where we come into a group, and every week you will be receiving a therapist talk to you and help you through every issue. So just try and get that link, and also share the links with your friend. It's just going to bless you. Ladies and gentlemen, let's move on to the next. Without much ado, the voice you will hear right after now is the voice of this coach that I love dearly, a man I deeply respect, Tunji Babajide. Thank you. Listen to the following advert and we'll receive his own introduction. Over to you, studio. Thank you, Lara.
Yeah, thank you, Pastor Aki.
Tunji Babajide is a peak performance coach. He leverages his years of study in the fields of performance improvement management, human behavior psychology, workplace psychology, emotional intelligence, and leadership management to inspire and empower individuals and organizations to profess solutions. As a psychologist and relationship coach, he uses his experience and knowledge to help individuals from various sectors overcome challenges, resolve troublesome behaviors, beliefs, form new habits, and enjoy better relationship with authors. He has designed, managed, and facilitated several soft skills training, leadership retreats, strategy sessions, and life transforming coaching sessions.
All right, so let's receive Tunji Babajide. Afternoon.
Much for having me. I always count it an honor and a privilege to be with the Eden Center. I dearly celebrate Pastor Akin for the several things he does, both for the body of Christ and for the marketplace. Thank you for doing this consistently. The reality is that you are prepared for the future because part of what will make the future extremely relevant for the church is when we have meetings where we cater for emotional issues. The last time we had this, I mentioned the fact that I'd been an advocate for therapy centers, for therapy hubs rather, as an anchor, as an evangelical tool for the church. And I must say that for several people I've spoken to, Pastor Akin remains one person who has obliged that particular, maybe I'll call it a move. Okay, so I have about 25. Yes, then I also want to thank the last speaker, Lara Kudaisi, for being vulnerable. It's a privileged experience when you have anyone who is willing to be vulnerable. Not everyone is willing to show their scars. Okay, so I'm going to share with you. I need to be able to share my screen. Technical, can you please make me a host? They say pictures say 1,000 words. Technical, can you hear me? Technical? Okay, so Pastor Angie, I need to share my slides. Is it possible I share my slides? Hello? Can anyone hear me? Can anyone hear me? Hello, Pastor Aki. All right, so I'm meant to talk about mental health. If no one can hear me, then I think I'll just continue. So the first question I think an average person wants to answer is, what is mental health? So I say mental health is something we all have. Mental health is made up of our feelings, our thoughts, our behavior, our beliefs. So it becomes important for us to be able. Okay, let me check what is in the comment section. Okay, someone said we can. Oh, they said I can share my. Okay. Oh, sorry, I just saw that now. Okay, I'll share my slides now. Just a minute. Okay, so I just saw that, so I'll share my slides just right away. 1 minute. All right. Okay, so let me start by saying that the incident has been happening in the last few weeks, both for the coronavirus issue and also because of the NSAS. I will try and factor it into the big picture of what I'm going to say, but trust me, at the end of the day, you'll be able to pick up something. So it's not news that the world is experiencing or has experienced a global pandemic. It's not new that the SARS protest is out there. But then you see, there's the what I call the silent effect of the pandemic, the noiseless effect of the NSAS, and that's the fact that people have been exposed to different pictures, they've been exposed to different videos, and you see all of those things. They're going to affect a lot of people's mental health. Why? Because our mental health talks about our beliefs. It talks about, sorry, my screen is out. Let me put on my video. Sorry. Okay, so it's going to affect our mental health, because our mental health has a lot to do with our feelings, our thoughts, our beliefs, our behavior, among several other things. Okay, so and as much as we know, the last 1 week businesses have been affected, the last 6 months businesses have been affected. Nevertheless, I also need to let you know that you got to learn to now adapt. Having a healthy mental health, or having very rock solid mental health, is developing that ability to adapt. Because all of these troubling challenges, such as unexpected pay cuts, long traffic, job loss, severe supply and demand disruption, social distancing. Thankfully, we've been able to come back in a little way. All of these things have mental health implications. Okay. So when there is pay cuts, when there are layoffs, when salaries are not paid as at when due, when you want to go out and you can't go out, the NSAS has, shut the road. You have a lot of unmet expectation. You will agree with me, especially if you're in Lagos, that the last 1 week, your sales will have dropped because of the impact of the NSAS. And this won't go without it having an effect on us as human beings, especially when you're in the heat of it. So so having said all of that, what will be the causes, or what will be the impact of the pay cuts? What will be the impact of the a lot of the videos that we've been seeing from the NSAS? I just listened to the one in I think it was in River State, one of the CSP who shoots people and drops them in the river, and how the father of the guy who was shot and dumped in the river was asked to go and check everybody in that river to see whether their son was in that river. That man is totally traumatized. Okay, so all of the things happening in our time will cause a lot of psychological distress. People will grieve over loved ones, they will grieve over jobs, they will grieve, especially because there's what we call circumstantial grief. So things happen and that circumstance triggered grief. And sometimes, when you cut your hand with a knife, it's obvious that you have a cut, and gradually you will trust that the wound will heal with time. The issue with a lot of emotional wound is that you can't say it. So when people say things like, okay, so all of this will bring psychological distress, grief over jobs. Very often, some people are in shock, okay? And the symptoms of all of this include what we call intellectual disability. There will be separation anxiety disorder. So someone who's attached their esteem to what they do at work, someone who believes that the fact that she had 2-1 or he had 2-1, and by virtue of that, he worked with maybe the best 4 or something and was laid off. That person would have separation anxiety disorder. Or someone who loses a brother or a sister, they would have what is called separation anxiety disorder. There are also some other stress-related disorder. There's post-traumatic stress disorder. There's insomnia, there's sleeping disorder, there's eating disorder. There's several disorders that this unwanted circumstances usher into our lives. Okay, there's depressive episodes in the morning, they're happy, in the evening, they're looking gloomy, and they're not interested in regular activities. So those and you see, depression has stages: stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, and sometimes because these things are not diagnosable by just seeing people. Some people are depressed and they're wearing tie. Some people are depressed and they're wearing skirt suit. Some people are depressed and they're wearing makeup. Okay, so it's important for this kind of forums to, number one, enlighten people about the impact of depression. Number two, to also be able to, share a few thoughts that can help people come out of this. We also have anxiety disorder. You've dressed up, you're going out. They say there's NSAS in Maryland, there's NSAS in Lekki. So the time we're in, especially because we're just coming out of a pandemic. Okay, so there's a lot of people out there they have a lot of what I call emotional instability. They're not certain. There's a lot of uncertainty. And you see, when there's uncertainty, it's difficult to be able to live by your goals. It's difficult to even cast a vision and pursue after your vision in an unstoppable manner. Okay? So we all have mental health. So your mental health is either good or is average, which is okay, or it's not so good. Okay, so and you see, there is nothing like, oh, my mental health 3 years ago is still the same. It's a continuum. Okay, because when life shoots bullets at you, they have tendencies to alter your emotional stability. Okay, so people, places, and events shoot bullets, emotional bullets at you. So I like to say to people that there will always be external situation that is not in your control. There will be internal perception that is in your control, but ultimately there would always be an outcome. Once there is an event, there will be three things: external situation, maybe for example, the NSAS is beyond your control. Internal perception, so it's not the NSAS that is the issue, it's how you see the NSAS or how you have seen the pandemic, but an outcome is always a constant. All right, so that is very, very, very important for us to note. Having said that, because I know this is a largely Christian forum, so I will delve into some of the scriptures that we're all aware of. So the Bible says that Proverbs 23 verse 7, as a man thinketh, because mental health influences how we think. Okay, so and as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Okay, so a lot of people feel about them, how a lot of people feel about themselves and others, and how they interpret events. All of these things count in our mental health. Our mental health affects our capacity to learn, to communicate, how we think, to communicate, to form and sustain and end relationship. It also influences our ability to cope with change, to transition, and with life as we see it. So it's all about that ability to cope. It's all about your shock absorber. I call it life shock absorber, because I know the human nature doesn't want to feel very helpless, want to feel very not in charge. But you see, a lot of us need to stop being the Jehovah Jireh. We always want to be in charge of things. Sweetheart, you are not God. And I like to say to people, you got to be comfortable for you to lose control on your journey to achieving your goal. There are times when things happen to us, and life can happen to anyone. I've seen the rich become extremely poor. I've seen the poor become extremely rich. I've seen the rich have challenges. I've seen the poor, have issues. But the life, whatever it is that life throws at you, you've got to develop that shock absorber for you to develop that, shock absorber to hold it, because life will never ever be fair. So I love this very powerful quote. Dr. Bruce Lipton is one amazing instructor I have in the field, and he says that 95% of diseases are caused by stress, and 100% of stress is caused by the wrong beliefs. Okay, so you will agree with me that the last 6 months of the pandemic, 5 months, the last few days of the NSAS have ushered in different wrong beliefs. So if we have data, if there has been an increase in diseases or increase in hospital visits, they are all traceable to stress. And every stress is caused by the wrong belief. So it's not what happens to you that really matters, ladies and gentlemen, is how you respond to what happens to you. So I like to say that life is 10% of what happens to you, 90% of how you respond to it. Let's go to the next slide. So Philippians 4, 6 and 7 gives us an amazing encouragement. It says that do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God, and the peace of God which passes all understanding will guard our hearts and our minds in Christ Jesus. Philippians 4, 6 to 7, the easy to read version. Having said that, I must say to you that faith can provide multifaceted benefit for those who live with the daily struggles of mental health. Okay, so in the midst of these challenges, we've got to learn to cultivate spiritual health, because that will lead us to have better mental health. And I'm going to roll data for you, because they say evidence terminates arguments. I mean, look at this amazing research. A wealth of research points to the connection between mental health and spiritual health. They also found out that faith has been shown to aid in recovery. For instance, a study at the Maclean Hospital found that those who believed in God were twice as likely to respond to treatment for mental illness, having lower levels of depression and anxiety, and greater overall well-being. And faith can even help to prevent mental health struggles. Another amazing study published by the American Journal of Psychiatry found that individuals who said that religion or spirituality was very important to them were much less likely to experience an episode of major depression. So this afternoon, everyone listening to me, I need you to understand that we need both, mental health and spiritual health. Okay, that time where even if you're a Muslim, that ability to know that you're connected to a creator, that you're admitting you are a creator, there's a creator somewhere, because this is a fact. People who subscribe to, who believe in God, who belong to a local assembly, who had a good time of fellowship, who enjoys worship. I mean, I had a client a while ago who had gone through therapy, and she attended a Nathaniel Bassey concert, and she snapped out of. So I have several people who gradually, when we factored in what made them come out of depression, we realized that spiritual health, exposure to worship, was one of the factors that was of benefit to them. So, ladies and gentlemen, in this time, and this is not a time to distance yourself from, your local assembly. This is a time where you need to have healthy support system. Because okay, I see people. Good, thank you for this summary. I appreciate it. Okay, you see, because it's important. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. Just want to show you some of this. As human beings, we need companionship from others. And the Christian faith affirms this idea. So it's not a bad thing that our hearts seek comfort from others. God also created us to be dependent on Him. This is contrary to the public perception that we're strong enough to get through life on our own if we try hard enough. So I like to say that, I'm sure you know that we're tripartite being, where you have a body, you are a spirit, you have a body, and you have a soul. Okay, so God did not create your spirit to be independent. God did not create your body to be independent. Neither did God create your body to be your spirit to be independent. God created your spirit, soul, and body to be interdependent. And that's why if you have whitlow on your hands, it can affect your prayer life. And that's why when you can't think clearly, when you have nervous breakdown, when you have psychological distress, it affects your appetite. Sometimes if it stays long enough, it affects your body. You can begin to lose weight. Okay, so when we talk about eating disorder, some people, when they have psychological distress, it's either they begin to eat a lot more, or they begin to, eat a little more less. So I'm saying, in essence, for us to approach mental health holistically, we must pay attention to making our soul to be refreshed, ensuring our spirit is refreshed, ensuring our body is also refreshed. So I always talk about lifestyle challenge. You know, sometimes you need to break away from the triangle, from house, home, office, or, you know, just that triangle. You know, lifestyle challenge does a lot. Self-care does a lot. Okay, cutting your hair, doing a new hairstyle, eating what you like, watching a movie. They're all part of what it is required for us to have a very, very healthy mental health. However, it's also important to understand the distinction between mental health and spiritual health. A pastor cannot prescribe the treatment of schizophrenia, and a psychiatrist cannot meet spiritual needs of a family. So we've got to draw the line. Yet, many consider their faith and their religion central to their day-to-day life. If their child had cancer, they will seek support and comfort in their family, faith, and community. So it is undesirable that we will seek the same kind of support when dealing with serious mental health. So the very important question is, what's the best approach? Let's look at the next slide. So there has to be a collaboration. I mean, Pastor Kim will tell you that this is something I'm passionate about. And I believe this is one of the assignments God is giving for the body at this time. There has to be a collaboration of mental health and spiritual health. The Bible tells us in 1 Thessalonians 5:23 that we were all created with three basic parts: a spirit, a soul, and a body. And the God of all peace sanctify you wholly. May your spirit, your soul, and your body be preserved completely without blame at the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ. So I present to you today a collaboration of mental health and spiritual health. You people who are in church, you are clueless how your body begins and your spirit begins to recalibrate when worship is going on. So when the Bible says we're gathered in the innumerable company of angels, you don't understand, some of you don't understand what it means. Coming to church, we can't measure the impact. I mean, one great mentor that I used to read a lot from, Anthony Robbins. Anthony Robbins, before he does any session, they will sing and be jumping. That's equivalent to mental health. So, I mean, that's equivalent to praise and worship in church. So someone asked him and said, why do we have to sing? He said, when you dance and sing, it opens up your spirit to be able to receive the things I want to say. We just think we do it in church and we don't know the implication of it. So, I laugh at people who say, I'm going to be in church, but they've not started preaching yet. When you miss worship, you miss a lot. So let me ask you, why do you think that AY Live Show will be filled with little or no publicity? Why do you think Alibaba Show will be filled? Because a lot of them that go there, they can't explain it, but they feel better after they laugh so much. Because the Bible says laughter doeth good like medicine. So ladies and gentlemen, we've got to learn to collaborate for our solution to be holistic. There's going to be that collaboration of mental health and spiritual health. I've got to run. So much to say, but very little time. So my advice is seek holistic help. Seek a professional. Seek professional from a therapist, certified therapist, psychotherapist. But at the same time, don't distance yourself from the social support that church gives. Don't distance yourself from the social support that, I don't know what happened in the mosque, but I mean, I can talk about my own faith. Okay, because when you have an environment where you can be vulnerable, where you have someone you can talk to, you know, where you can worship, you know, it's always an amazing experience. Let me run. So, having said that, to also ensure that we're not victims of the times we're in, it's important for us to desire to be resilient. So resilience, what is resilience? Resilience is the process of adapting well in the face of adversity. It's the process of adapting well in the face of trauma. It's the process of adapting well in the face of tragedy, threats, or significant sources of stress. In other words, resilience means bouncing back from difficult experiences. I mean, and you can find all of this online. So ladies and gentlemen, if we're going to be mentally healthy, if our mental health will be okay, if we will not be tossed to and fro by the things that we see in our world and in our nation at this time, you've got to learn to allow to bounce back from difficult experiences, okay? Because you see, that's what we call the trauma work. There's several people I've worked with who are victims of childhood trauma. There's several people I've worked with who are victims of threats, emotional abuse. Okay? Some of us are victims of emotional abuse from our parents. You and I will agree that our parents meant good for us. Okay, their end goal is that we turn out well. You know that, I mean, so there's always what I call the approach. So I call it the approach and the outcome. Okay, so our parents' outcome or desire is for us to turn out well. Okay, but their approach oftentimes sabotage that. Some of you will know how they used to beat us a lot. Some of us got tougher. We got more, troublesome. Okay, so their intention and approach, that's what I'm looking for. Our parents had the right intention, but they had the wrong approach. They will compare us to our mates. In fact, there was one day I had to interfere with the mother who is always, every year, the lady said to me, I don't look forward to my birthday. I said, oh, we should look forward to your birthday. She said, my mom will come and wake me up in the middle of the night on my birthday and say, by this time next time, you'll be in your husband's house. He said, even times when I was not setting the goal to be there. So she said that prayer was more of a burden than a blessing. The mom has a good intention, but the approach, but you see, nobody is a product of intention. Everyone is a product of approach. And some of you who are parents, you need to be reschooled and retooled, because you are not just a parent because you have children. You've got to be a parent because you are trained to unlearn some of the things that we learned growing up. That's another symposium discussion. All right. So Ellen Keller said, character cannot be developed in ease and quiet. Only through experiences of trial and suffering can the soul be strengthened, ambition inspired, and success can be achieved. So I always say to people, the journey to your greatness will never be smooth. And I'm not trying to be funny. I'm not trying to, profess negative confession. I'm just trying to say this is proven. Okay? So there will be experiences of trial, there will be sufferings, there will be challenges, the road will be bumpy, but sweetheart, at the end of the day, it builds your character. And at the end of the day, it makes you more resilient. Okay? Resilience is not fixed. It changes as we develop and as our circumstances change and as we embrace awareness. So this meeting is a scripting. I'm rescripting some of you to begin to open your mind up, to begin to see, the implication or the importance of mental health. What can I do when emotional bullets are shot at me? What else can I do to be better? How can I be fortified? How can I be resilient? All of those things are critical, and I'm grateful to Pastor Akin for exposing people to all of this. Having said that, it's important to help you see individual factors. So there are biblical view of oneself, social skills being around the support system. Also, it will be helpful if you learn empathy, if you have a sense of responsibility. Also, spiritual and emotional health. Spiritual and emotional intelligence. All of these things help our mental health. Okay, so social skills, ability to connect to a support group. Okay, having a healthy biblical view of yourself. You're wonderfully and fearfully made. Written on everyone's head is that statement, I want you to love me. So I have this affirmation I have with people that are working with, I have low self-esteem, and it's usually very simple. I say to them, wake up in the morning and look in the mirror and hit your chest and say, if you're finer than me, you're too fine. If you're taller than me, you're too tall. If you're shorter than me, sweetheart, I don't envy you, you're too short. I am just perfect for my assignment. I am God's image. Bible says that I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. I'm not apologetic about my bust. I'm not apologetic about my hips. I'm not apologetic about my height, because Bible said thou createst a body to do thy will, O God. I love my body. I accept myself. I love myself. And I say to people, blow yourself a kiss and catch it. You got to learn to celebrate yourself. You got to learn to love yourself. You got to learn to accept yourself. Don't let Big Brother Nigeria determine who is beautiful and who is not. Don't let the pageant say, if you are not leper. I mean, I see all manner of hospitals springing up, how they can help your bum come out, how they can help your, you've got to learn to accept yourself. Don't put a question mark where God had put a full stop. Okay, so all of these things are help you. Empathy, being able to empathize with people, taking responsibility for the outcomes that happen, good, bad, and ugly. Okay, so when you have God as a father, you need to know that you're a covenant child, and for every covenant child, you need to accept that really and truly all things work together for good. You need to be able to accept it and say, I can do all things through Christ that gives me strength. So no matter what comes your way, you've got to be able to say, greater is he that is in me than he that is in that he that is in the world. All of this are a summation of self-talk. You've got to be careful what you say to yourself. Stop being so harsh on yourself. Give yourself room to fail. You are not God. Those are some of the things, because you see, part of the issues of mental health is that some people, they can't manage expectations. Once the expectations are not met, they get moody, gloomy, zoomy, and they're trying to shame themselves. No, you got to love to look in the mirror and love what you see in the mirror. No one will make you feel inferior without your consent. Okay, so what are resilience building blocks? I need to run. Okay, family factors. You've got to have a close bond with at least one another in a healthy community, your church, a mosque if you're a Muslim. Secure nurturing your dreams. Have devotion. I mean, devotion does not mean kneeling by your bed and pray. It means that you just know that you're a creator and there's a creator somewhere who can make things work out in an amazing way. Be always, be willing to express your feelings. Okay, it's pride when people think that being vulnerable is weak. No, being vulnerable is a sign of strength. Hello, somebody. Being vulnerable, yes. Okay, it's pride when you begin to say, they will now say that I am. Who are you? It's pride. Okay, so a lot of people who are quiet, especially for the personality types, you got to learn how to be expressive. Okay, then the next thing, you must learn to have expectation management, because life will never be fair. You've got to learn to be less non-judgmental, and when people are judging you, just give them a benefit of doubt. Have the right mentors, have the right values. Okay, so gosh, I don't have time to go into this. Environmental factors for good mental health. You must ensure that you have positive experience of education, secure and nurture your goals, secure and nurture yourself. Have a sense of belonging, have supportive relationships, have friendships. You've got to stay around people who value you. You've got to do a SWOT analysis, realize your strength, know your weaknesses, know the opportunities. So I say that anger is a weakness, rage is a threat. Realize your strengths, okay? And all of that. Family factors, I said that earlier, close bond with at least one member of the family. I need to run. I think I have 25 minutes. Please let me know when my time is up. Having said that, let's take it a little further. So what can you do? There are a few things that I put here. Number one, encourage a positive view of yourself. I think I mentioned that earlier on. Number two, build and keep friendships. Highlight your strengths. Do a SWOT analysis. Be aware of what gets you angry. Know your triggers. Be aware of your family history. Be aware of, it's rigidity. Rigidity is a weakness. It's not a strength. Flexibility is a strength. Encourage autonomy and express your feelings. Share any concerns with people who have your values, who got your back, and all of that. I've got to run. So, since we said earlier from that quote from Bruce Lipton, we said that every disease is caused by stress and every stress is caused by wrong belief. This time, the pandemic, the NSAS, is a time that has triggered stress. On Monday, I spent 7 hours in traffic. Don't tell anyone I told you. Okay, so I have what I call the distress magic pill. There's a distress magic pill that can instantly change your perception in the midst of stress. So I call it change your philosophy every 55 minutes. For 5 minutes, change your life. Stand, dance, stretch. Do you know that there's a disease now worse than cancer? It's called sedentary lifestyle. We sit down in our cars, we sit down in our offices, we sit down in church. And according to various studies, over 70% of employees said that on exercise days, they experience improved mental and person-to-personal relationship performance and better overall mood and manage their workload better. So why don't you, why not do it every 55 minutes for 5 minutes, get the immediate benefits. So when you sit down, maybe you set an alarm at work, just stretch, dance, stand, so you can do what I call distress magic pill. So this is number one distress magic pill that will help your mental health. Okay, the second one is your thoughts. Okay, I've said it earlier, as a man thinketh so easy. Negative thought is a key. I mean, I love this quote so much. Negative thought is the key to root cause of depression. Little wonder, the WHO predicts that depression will be the second leading disease by 2020 and the leading killer disease by 2030. So if you want to change your life, change your thoughts. Transfer your negative thoughts into a stress ball. That's what we call the stress ball. Smile, change your thoughts, do things that make you smile. Change your thoughts into positive, empowering ones, and feel good about yourself. Part of feeling good about yourself is on self-care. Self-care is a critical part of mental health. Have a good hairstyle, go and have a haircut, dress well, wear a cologne, spoil yourself a bit. Okay, wear your favorite dress, go to maybe go and window shop. Just do something that puts value on yourself. All right. So another thing that can help your mental health is to love more, hug more. We call it Sero. Is a slang for smile, laughter, trigger. So show some kindness. You see great men say they're doing philanthropy. It has benefits. Release the happiness and the anti-stress hormones such as serotonin. Okay, so I like to say, if it was a class now, I've said all of us to stand up and hug each other, just zero yourself. What will it do for you? It would eliminate, avoid negative emotions such as anger, bitterness, hostility, resentment, forgiveness, hatred, malice, etc. They are a trigger to many diseases, addictions, and depression. Focus on love and kindness. And to do that, you learn to overcome the prevalence of the above highlighted emotions. So what should I do? Just smile. I had a client who, had crossed the line from therapy to, so I had to get a friend who is in a value chain, who is also a psychiatric doctor, and, admitted in the rehab center. So part of my session was to go into the rehab center and, have a psychotherapy session with them. So this day I just, was in traffic and I saw this guy hawking AY live show, Alibaba show, and I took it and I said, "Do you have a TV there?" So they played and the guys started laughing and laughing. So I said to her, "Keep watching this 3 times every day, just like a prescription. You'll be shocked." The psychiatric doctor said our recovery rate, because she found opportunities and found things to laugh, was doubled. So if she was meant to spend 2 weeks, she spent 1 week because she had opportunities to laugh. Okay, so it's important. Don't take yourself too serious. Okay, so the guy, I don't want to miss this slide. The author of the man that wrote the book Deadly Emotions said this, and I want you to listen. He said, the following negative emotions tend to follow disease. Anger. If you're someone who consistently have anger and hostility, you have tendencies for hypertension, coronary heart diseases. If you're someone who encourages bitterness, resentment, unforgiveness, hatred, malice, you have tendencies later on in life to have autoimmune disorders, romantic arthritis, lupus, multiple sclerosis. If you're someone who consistently embraces anxiety, fear, and worry, you often, at later part of your life, irritable bowel syndrome, panic attacks, mitral valve prolapse, and heart palpitations. If you're someone who have repressed anger, the tendencies for you to have tension, migraine, even now, not even in the future, headaches, chronic back pain, and fibromyalgia. So all of these negative emotions have effect on our body. That's why I said our spirit, soul, and body was created to be interconnected, interdependent. Your body, how your body feel affects how your mind will feel. How your mind feel affects how your spirit will feel. I've been in church before. I had a week where I couldn't worship God. And there are times when I was so burdened in my heart many years ago, it affected my appetite. So we've got to take care of our spirit, soul, and body if we're going to have an amazing mental health. I need to run now. Okay? So your confession is also important. A man's belly is filled with the fruits of the lips. In the corporate world, we call it affirmation. A man is moved by what he hears and is controlled. And I mean, so you can control what you hear. So some of you need to change your music, change your conversational environment, change that negative TV channel, stop hanging around negative people. And you immediately change your mood, you change your feelings, change your emotions. You've got to learn to do a voice note of a positive affirmation. You have to listen to it regularly. What will that do for you? It would eliminate negative thoughts. It will change them into positive ones. So you've got to start by using so that there's an affirmation CD that I have. It's for sale. Maybe I can discuss with Pastor Akin later on about it. But it helps you to profess the future you desire. It helps you and boost your mental health consistently. So there's a law of affirmation. So you've got to say to yourself, I am loved. Love dwells within me. Love and I were one. Love and kindness manifest through me. Every moment, I love and treat others myself with respect, honor, and dignity. Therefore, I attract only respect, honor, and dignity. I'm humble, selfless, and patient. I believe and hope the best of all people. Also have another one here. I love affirmation. I can go on and on and on, but do I still have time? I want to be sure my time is not up. So if it's second call on Pastor Aki, I don't know who is the moderator. Is my time up? Will someone please help me? I don't want to take it for granted that no one's stopping me. Oh, my time is up. I'm sorry about that. Okay. All right. With these few points of mine, I hope I've been able to be a blessing to someone with this very short presentation. Thank you, Pastor Aki, for having me.
Bring it for me. Right. Thank you, Mr. Tunji. Your time had finished long time ago.
I'm so
We've been sending you chats, sending you messages, but you were not reading it. You were just flowing and flowing and flowing.
I'm so sorry. So sorry. I'm not taking that access for granted.
We enjoyed it. We had a good time. So we'll just take some question and answer now. If people have questions to ask you, and we'll just do that for 2 minutes. So please be reading the chat room if there are questions for you there, Mr. Baba.
Okay. Okay. Right away, I'm going to do that.
So I don't know, admin, is there any question there?
I can't find any now.
Right. So I'm not sure there are questions, but I want to say thank you. Yeah, but your time was up 20 minutes ago.
Oh,
so I'm sure
my
that
goodness.
the questions they wanted to ask, you were answering it.
I'm so sorry. So sorry.
And I mean, that was really good. It's not something that we can do under 20, 30 minutes. I know, sir. It's something that probably you need some time out and some activities and scenario plays around it, but I want to say thank you. Thank you for doing this for us, Mr. Tunji. Thank you for committing to the time. Thank you for investing into this generation. I am particularly somebody that love what you do. I love you and love your family. And I'm publicly saying thank you to you. God bless you big in Jesus' name.
Amen.
I know that you have a lot of session today, and we just carry on from there, So I'm saying a big thank you. Let me release you so that you can go and continue the protests and
thank you
for Nigeria. God bless you, Mr. Tunji. Please feel free to listen to the following. Watch the skit that is coming up as we receive the last guest. And if you want a copy of my book, they're also going to display it on the screen on how you can get it. Thank you so much. Please, you can watch the skit that is coming up now. Thank you. All right. We are getting towards the end of this. Just one more speaker. How to overcome negative emotion. And that's going to blow your mind for many reasons. Number one, because the person who will teach you that is somebody certified to do that. And number two, because the person is so dear to my heart. And number three, because the person is my wife. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's receive my wife. She is a certified family life coach, and she's also an advisor, civil service commission for the Lagos State government governor. Let's receive Olamide Akinpelu as she comes to be a blessing to us. Thank you.
Olamide Akinpelu is a family life coach with expertise in premarital counseling and facilitation. She is a certified CIPM, FRM, and PMP professional with over 9 years of experience in the financial sector that cuts across customer experience management, head of operations, head of treasury, and is currently running a project with the chairman of the Lagos State Civil Service Commission. Olamide also owns a consumer lending and investment infrastructure that caters to broad clientele lists.
How to overcome negative emotion. Right. So, media, can we have her? All right. Welcome.
Okay, can everyone hear me? I'll need responses now before I proceed. Can everyone hear me now? Okay, good afternoon. Oh, okay, great. Good afternoon. Okay, so I'll be speaking on negative emotions. I'd like to share a slide. Also, I have 2 exercises for everyone out there. Please, is it that you're grabbing a mirror or you're staying close to a mirror? And also, I'll also need your writing materials, a plain sheet of paper with a pencil or a biro. Okay. So we're talking about negative emotions. I think the last speaker has actually covered some, it's like he stole my slide. And I will be talking basically on that, concentrating mainly on negative emotions. Of course, as we all know, we have both the positive emotions and negative emotions. And by the word negative, we all know what it means. So sorry, I'm trying to get my slide. Just a minute, please. Okay. Screen. So sorry, I think I'll just have to proceed. Sorry, I sincerely apologize for that. Okay, let me just move on. Okay, so I'll be dwelling mainly on negative emotions. Like we know, we have both the positive emotions and as well as negative emotions. The thing is, what exactly do we mean by emotions? Emotions are actually complex reactions involving many biological and physiological processes within our bodies. It comprises of the biological and the physiological processes within our bodies. Our brain, so sorry, I'll need to be on the slide with you. Just give me a minute. I sincerely apologize. Experiencing a little issue down here. Okay, can we all hear me now?
Okay, it's better.
Oh,
Please,
okay.
you can teach. If you can't find the slide, please send the slide to Chris, to the admin. They can help you from here. So
Okay,
that
just a
we don't
minute.
lose the audience, then just keep talking, please.
Okay. Emotions, like I said, are complex reaction that comprises of both emotions and complex reactions. Just a minute, please. I'm distracted. Yeah. Okay. Emotions are complex reactions involving biological, physiological processes within our bodies. Our brain most times responds to our thoughts. We have a feeling, we could be excited, happy, and sometimes we feel very sad. Our brain actually responds to our thoughts by releasing hormones and chemicals, and this sends us into a state of arousal. If those hormones and chemicals are released, we get aroused. So sometimes it could be negative arousal, or sometimes it could be positive arousal. Okay, so if you hear good news, of course, that's positive. We become very excited. And if it's the other way around, we become very sad. Okay, so negative emotion basically is described as a factor. Sorry, I'm trying to get the slides at all costs. Okay, so negative emotions is described as factors that make you feel miserable and it makes you feel sad. These emotions it makes you dislike yourself. Sometimes you feel so like I'm not good enough, I'm not the best of myself. It reduces your confidence, your self-esteem is actually affected. Your general view of life is affected. So by the time we compare the negative and the positive emotions, the negative emotion comprises of sadness, When you're jealous is actually negative. When you're anxious is negative. When you're fearful is negative. When you feel indifferent, some people say that, sometimes you ask some people, how do you feel today? And they say that, you know what, I don't just know. I feel so indifferent. I don't know. That's actually a trigger. That's a negative emotion. If you feel angry, perhaps the economic, of course, we know that the economic situation is actually not very friendly, and it can trigger you. It can make you feel negative emotions such as anger. You can feel disgusted. You can be bored. You can be passive. Those are actually lists of negative emotions. And the positive aspect is when you're in this state of tranquility, you have this energy, like you're determined, you're happy, you're joyful, you have confidence, you're encouraged no matter the situation, no matter the environmental factor, you're encouraged. You have this positive outlook, you have this positive evaluation of life. Those are, and you're friendly, those are positive emotions. So what can negative emotion do to you? They can dampen our enthusiasm for life, depending on how long we let them affect us. Or sadness is a feeling that everyone experiences. Sadness is something natural, actually. Is a feeling everyone experiences, is part of life. We can decide to respond to our sadness in ways that can help us feel better. We know how the situation of Nigeria is right now. We don't know all the time, most times we hear of negative experiences, and that alone it can actually distort your emotions. It can actually move you from the positive mindset into a negative emotions. But then you can now decide to tell yourself, speak to yourself that, you know what, no matter the environmental issues I'm hearing from the left and from the right, I decide, I choose to stay positive. I choose to respond to the kind of, you choose to respond to your emotions is actually how you choose to respond to it. If you want to respond negatively, it is your decision. Emotions is your decision. And like we said, we respond to our sadness in ways that helps us feel better. It is part of ups and downs of life. We use different words to talk about sadness, agony, anguish. If you're brokenhearted, if you're hurt, if you sorrow, dejection, dismay, distress, unhappiness, or much more. All these are responses to negative situation. And sadness could also be as a result of another feeling, such as anger, stress, guilt, or hopelessness. Sometimes the other feelings may be so strong that you don't realize that you are sad. Sadness may change how you feel physically. And sometimes if you, maybe there's a bad report, someone just called you, maybe a friend of yours or family member just called you over the phone, and they're giving you a negative or bad report about something. Before you know it, the next thing that happens to you, if you really don't pay attention to your emotions, or you've not really gained mastery of your emotions, you just shut down like that. Physically, if you, at that moment before the news, your countenance maybe is happy, you're joyful, before you know it, you are down, as in physically, you are down. And this can actually lead you to having headaches, you emotionally, you're down, you're not feeling fine. A stable sense of well-being is what you recognize, is when you recognize your sadness, and you understand that it is why, that this is why you are sad. Let me take that again. A stable sense of well-being is when you recognize your sadness, and you understand that it is why you feel sad. Okay, so like I said, it's a natural thing for you to feel sad, but there should be a balance. The research says it that there should be a ratio balance of 3 to 1. That is 3 rating, that's the state at which you have your positive emotions. And the ratio 1 is your negativity. Like we said, negative emotions will come. So it is your state, your sense of well-being. If you understand and you've been able to rate your ratio, that's between the 3 to 1, and it's not at equilibrium. For some people, their state, their emotional state is at equilibrium. That's when some declines, but the ideal stable state of well-being should be the 3:1. That is, the positive emotional state, which is when you're happy, should be 3. And the ratio 1 should be your negativity. So the positive should ideally outweigh the negative to have a balanced, stable state of well-being. Yes, we know that life is actually full of situations that make people feel sad. You may feel sad for so many reasons. Maybe you have, you're just recovering from a heartbreak, and you have issues in the family, you're having trouble in school or at work, your experiences, different changes in your thoughts, you just lose a loved one. You don't have to remain in that state. Yes, it's okay, bad news will come, but do not try to snap out from that state as soon as you can. Don't remain in that state. Try a different approach. Try to acknowledge your sadness and the situation that propelled it. Try to acknowledge your sadness and the situation that propelled it. Give yourself time to deal with any problem. Okay, so when we're saying give yourself time to deal with any problem, we're not saying that you should now marry the situation and linger. Don't let it linger for too long. At least between 24 to 48 hours, you should snap out from any sad situation that had actually brought you down. Give yourself time, but don't prolong it too much. Don't romance that situation, especially if it's actually a sad situation. Deal with any problems. Give yourself time to deal with any problem and feel better. You may use the help of a trusted friend. Those you know you can trust, you can open up to, you can unwind to. Trusted friend, you can have a trusted family too, or you can go as far as seeing a professional to talk to feel better. It involves taking one step or many steps. It may happen quickly or over a long time, especially for those who have that lost the loved ones. This may take time. It's not something that would happen quickly. Just remember that emotions ebb and they flow, and you can move through sadness to more positive emotions. Is left, you determine your state of well-being. You determine if you would remain being sad, and that's the negative emotions, or you snap out of the negative emotions and you will transit into a positive state of well-being. And there are coping strategies that you can actually employ. And the number one is you acknowledge you feel sad. It's not something bad when you know that, see, this is me. I just got this bad news that my friend took ill. I just got this bad news that I lost a loved one. Yes, so now I feel bad. I feel sad. Acknowledge that you feel sad. Be honest with yourself and the people around you. You know what? My friend, one day I'm not feeling too well. This is the situation. Acknowledge you feel sad. Be honest with yourself and the people around you. If you know that is a situation whereby you cannot snap out of it as soon as possible and you need to escalate, then you escalate and seek help from a professional. Because there's a difference between the sad state and the state of depression. We're going to get there. So seek help from a professional. You may need support, you may need advice, or this person may just refer you. Then number 3, you need to sleep and eat. You need to look into your sleep and your eating pattern, if they are good. Sometimes it triggers our emotions. And if you're not having enough rest, you could just wake up looking gloomy, looking so skeptical, looking unhappy. That if you have not met with the required number of sleep, by helping someone else's life improve, sometimes you can reach that state of the positive state. If you know you have this particular, you're in this particular situation, and sometimes it happens that you're feeling sad and your friend out there is actually feeling sad. Lamide is feeling sad today, and perhaps Lamide's friend, which happens to be BC, is feeling sad as well. And unknowing to BC, she calls in Lamide, and she finds out that Lamide has not poured out or expressed her feelings to BC. And before you know it, BC is telling Lamide that this is the state at which I am. Do not in any way make the mistake of saying that, you know what, I feel the same way. To come out from that, Lamide is coming out from that emotional state. You could as well take the extra mile. It will take effort. It will take your whole willpower. It will take real energy and intentionality to help BC out, because BC is actually feeling the same way you're feeling. But if you can actually go that extra mile and you're intentional about, you know what, let me listen to BC's problem. Let me try to prefer solution to BC's problem. Before you know it, there's this tranquil state. As in, you get to that state of tranquility that you're finding peace, and you're like, okay, so it's not as bad as I thought it to be. So helping someone else's life might improve your negative state. So that's very critical. Someone else's life might lift your spirit. Find a creative way to express your sadness. Write your thoughts in a diary if you have to. This may help you find a new perspective. Sometimes you make it plain. You write it down. This is how I'm feeling. And before you know it, by the time you pick up a biro and you're writing some things down, how you feel, you might just gain new perspective, new clarity. And before you know it, you might just prefer a solution to that present state that you are. Being accountable, do things. Being accountable to someone you can trust. If you feel a risk of hurting yourself, perhaps this person has actually moved from being sad, that's negative emotions, to maybe the first state of depression. And you know that you've tried to psych yourself severally, but it's not working. And you're doing it day 1, 24 hours is not working, still at that state. Day 2, 48 hours is not working. It's time for you to escalate. It's time for you to be accountable to someone. It's time for you to reach out to a professional and say that, you know what, I keep feeling this way constantly. I don't think I can handle this all by myself. Please, can you keep a tab on me just to be sure that I don't eventually commit suicide, or I don't eventually do something that might be so very, very, very bad, like something drastic. Enjoy and tackle a problem one at a time. Just make a list and begin. If you can identify what has brought you to that state that you are, that's the sadness state, the negative emotions, you can tackle it one at a time. Okay, so what's the way forward now? How do I snap out of this state? What is actually triggering this emotion? Because of course, for something to happen, there's something triggering. Something is triggering it, either from the external, mostly from the external factor, environmental factor. Try to avoid such, then you take it one step at a time. A clear difference between being sad. I was talking about the difference between being sad, your state of sadness, and depression. Some persons say that, you know what, I feel so sad. I don't know if I'm actually in a state of depression. Could I be depressed? Is this sadness? Like I said, is natural, is a natural occurrence to feel sad. There is a ratio, and the ratio is 3 to 1. 3 represents your positive mental states, that's your positive emotions. And the 1 rated goes to the negative emotions. So at no point should you make it equal, and at no point should you make the 3 decline to a 1 and make the 1 increase to a 3. Then there's a problem somewhere. So sometimes people like to differentiate between this sad state and the state of depression. Sometimes feeling sad does not mean you are depressed. There's a clear-cut difference between that. Feeling sad doesn't mean you're depressed. But if your mood starts to interrupt your life and how you function, then you may have become depressed. Let me take that again. Feeling sad does not mean you are depressed. It's a natural thing that would happen. But your mood starts to interrupt. If your mood starts to interrupt your life and how you function, then you know that this is a state of depression. Then when you're doing on depression, we have first stage, second stage, third stage. Do you get? So first stage of depression is, for instance, okay, you're sad. A friend actually called in to say that this is the situation, very unpleasant situation, and you feel so sad about it. And before you know it, you are romancing that sadness. And it's affecting your total being. It's affecting your diet. You cannot eat well. Your rest, you're just turning and tossing on the bed. You can't sleep well. And you cannot function normally. Then be careful, because you might just be eating your first state of depression. But if you can snap out of that state, that sad state, between 24 hours or even less than that is fine. But if your mood relates to a recent event, such as a relationship breakup, then you may well be feeling sad. Yes, that's a sadness. But if that breakup was months ago, or you can see no clear reason for your change in mood, then you are depressed. So that's the difference between sadness. Always remember something. Everyone feels sad sometimes. It's a natural occurrence. You can learn to manage your sadness by trying to do the ratio, balancing 3 to 1, rate yourself. Feeling sad does not mean you're experiencing depression. If you have been feeling persistently sad for more than 2 weeks, or you have lost interest in most of your usual activities, you might be depressed. In this case, it is important to seek help, professional help. Pain is inevitable, but not all suffering is necessary. Negative emotions can bring you negative emotions can bring us to our depths. They connect us with our deeper selves. But of course, you know how to balance, and you know how to snap out, and don't dwell on that. Your persistent feeling of sadness, don't dwell on it for more than 2 weeks. Try to talk to someone if you know that this is actually lingering. All right, sir.
Hello. Let me just switch it back. Hello.
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, we will need to take questions now. Your time is fast spent. So we've been sending you messages. Probably you were not looking at it.
I just got that. So sorry about that.
So we don't know if there are questions or answers, but that was a beautiful presentation there on negative emotions. So now let's go to questions. If we have questions from anybody, let's see how we can put it up on Zoom or on YouTube, And we are going to read out those questions to Olamide Akipelu. Right, so media, do we have questions? Well, while we are waiting for people to write out their questions, I'll need to ask you one from here while we are waiting for them. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah.
Yes, I
So
can.
there's this question that I want to ask about negative emotions. At the end, you were talking about how sadness is differentiated from depression. Now, I want to ask, many people have learned to dress up their depression, try to look for a temporary fix on how to have their emotions bopped up so that they can continue in activity and suppress what's depressing them. Now, so what can people do outside dressing up their depression? How can they be better?
Okay.
Right.
All right. Number one, you don't have to dress up your emotions. Be real to yourself. This is the situation. You're trying to bring out the best of you, and negative emotions brings you down. It affects your self-esteem. It affects your confidence. It affects everything. Over time, if you dress up your emotions, you cannot get the best of yourself. You can't find your true essence as a person. So the best bet is, if you cannot find a trusted friend to talk to, then escalate and get a professional. Do not dress up your emotions, because over time it will show. It will show on your productivity. It will show as it's gonna show on your own essence as the person you are. Take for instance now, I am someone, I have three different aspects to me. Number one, my name is Olamide. I am the woman that I am. I bring out my true essence, and that's the God-given potential I'm supposed to express as Olamide. That's my identity. Like, I'm a wife, I'm also a mother. The thing, if you suppress your emotions, before you know it, you keep going into activities, but you cannot get the true purpose of why you exist. So the best bet is, you know what, don't use the makeup. Get help. Get professional help. Let them take you out of that state to a more positive emotional state, because it has a long-term effect on you. So don't dress up your emotions.
All right. Thank you so much for that. All right. We deeply appreciate you. Thank you on behalf of the Unmasked team. Thank you so much. Our time is fast spent, and we need to be out of here for 4 p.m. on the dot. And I want to say thank you to all our speakers and everybody that have been with us for Unmasked 2020 Day 1. I'd like you to know that tomorrow it continues, so you can watch us via social media platforms. We're going to send you an email or a text message so that you can also be part of it. We are going to be looking at undressing your depression. That's what we're going to be looking at tomorrow, and it promises to be so powerful and so great. So thank you so much for being part of us. If you want to get a copy of my book, I beg of you, if you have anybody who is depressed, anybody who is indebted, who's going through stuff in life, anybody who is thinking everything is just happening to them all at once, I beg of you, help them get this book, or tell them to get this book. It will help them and it will bless them. So you can get it at the display, at the URL display on the screen at kiankikpelu.org/order, and it's just going to be a blessing to you. So tomorrow morning, if you're around, if you live in Lagos, you can join us at Pearson Court, number 3, Wire Road. Once you just type Pearson Court on Google, it brings you exactly to where you are going to in Yaba. So we want you to have a great time, have a great day, remaining part of the day. If you would like to join our online group, please click on the links below in all of the platforms we are streaming from so that you can be part of us. Thank you so much. We hope that you would have a good time for the remaining part of the day. Till we see tomorrow morning by 8:30. God bless you. Take care. Over to you, media team.
So let hope arise and darkness tremble in your holy light, and every eye will see Jesus our God, great and mighty to be praised. So let hope arise and darkness tremble in your holy light, and every eye will see Jesus our God, great and mighty to be praised. Let hope rise and darkness tremble in your holy light. And every eye will see Jesus our God. So let hope rise and darkness tremble in your holy light, and every eye will see Jesus our God, great and mighty to be praised. With everything, we will shout for your glory. With everything, we will shout for your praise. With everything, we will shout for your glory.